Hi, my name is Penny, and this is Through Glass Eyes. Tonight we have Miss Samantha joining us. And thank you, Miss Samantha, for coming on and being one of the first people to interview with me. I appreciate your time. And Miss Samantha, can you tell us a little bit about yourself prior to when you got sick?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I was a pretty much a go-getter, I would say. I put myself through college and got some business degrees, started a business when I was pretty young at about 22 and ran that for several years and had a bunch of employees. Uh, and then worked as a marketing manager for a while in a software company and then moved over to a manufacturing company where I became VP of that company. And I think we 12x that company in 3 years or something. It grew very, very quickly after I joined. And yeah, it was fun and exciting, but also pretty stressful. So yeah, that was kind of
Well,
the before.
congratulations. What an accomplishment. That's very awesome. So prior to getting sick, you were, and I don't mean this out of any disrespect, so please don't think that. You were very smart. You were very probably right on demand, ready to answer questions as they came up and stuff like that, right?
Absolutely. A lot of that job was problem solving and critical thinking and managing people, which is complex, infinitely complex. Yeah, so there was a lot of complexity to the job, lots of managing all different departments. It was a relatively small company, so I was overseeing lots of different things day to day. So yeah, definitely took quite a lot of brain power.
Absolutely. And Miss Samantha, let's go back to when you got sick. Do you remember when that was? Around the time?
Oh, I remember distinctly.
Can
It
you tell
was,
me about that?
yeah, it was, well, when I got long COVID was August of 2023. I had kind of a strange case where I hadn't been sick with COVID or gotten a vaccine for the previous year when my long COVID just appeared out of seemingly nowhere. But I had had COVID, I believe 3 times. Uh, I and I had been vaccinated 3 times. So I had been exposed to the virus quite a bit. I just hadn't been exposed in a little while when the long COVID came on for the first time.
And let me ask you, you sound like you were pretty healthy before you got sick. Is that right? Do you know, and I don't mean to pry into your background or anything like that, but do you know if you had any underlying conditions or anything prior to getting COVID the first time?
Nothing major. I would say I was healthy. In my early 30s, in my younger years, I had worked out a lot and weightlifted a lot. Um, at the time, I was a bit sedentary because of the office job, and that was really my priority at the time. So I wasn't spending too much time exercising at the time, but I felt healthy. I had ADHD, which is another really common theme, I think, amongst the long haulers community, but uh, it was a manageable, version of that condition, I would say.
So since August of 2023, can you walk us through what has been happening? What after that infection that you had in August, how did your body feel after, and what changes did you start to notice? Was there anything right away, or was it something that over time it just showed up?
So there was a few instances over that summer where I kind of got dizzy and almost felt like I was going to pass out. But I thought, oh, I don't know, it was just a weird reaction to something. But then it would go away. Um, but then one day it hit and it just never went away. And my main symptom at that point was basically like a vertigo feeling, with the feeling that I was going to pass out. And that lasted for about 6 months. I was very terrified of driving and really just walking around sometimes. It felt like I was going to pass out and hurt myself, hopefully not hurt anyone else. So at that point in time, after about a week of that, I laid myself off or quit the job at my VP job, because I was taking it as a sign that I needed to maybe focus on my health health for a minute. I figured I would feel better soon. It was just something that was going to pass. However, it did not, and about it took about 4 or 5 months to get into a neurologist. So about 6 months after my original dizziness, vertigo, lightheaded symptoms, I finally got into a neurologist. He tested me and he said, "You're fine." And I was like, "Well, I'm not fine." Uh, and we kind of dug into it a little bit more, and he said, "Well, it's possible that you have some post-viral damage." And though I didn't feel like it was extremely helpful, just that one, him having the guts to say that one sentence was all I really needed, because I had no idea what I had or what was going on. I looked up every disease that I could possibly think of and could not find one that matched the symptoms. Once he said it could be post-viral damage, I found the long haulers, COVID long haulers subreddit, and that's when I started seeing all of these symptoms that matched exactly.
Absolutely. Now, you've seen a neurologist. Have you seen any other doctors regarding that issue, the vertigo, the dizziness, or was it just the neurologist you saw for that?
I had originally gone to my primary care doctor, who is a naturopath. And she really didn't know what was going on. So she was the one that referred me to the neurologist. Looking back, I don't know if she suspected it or not. That is kind of one thing that it has been a bit troublesome with the doctors, is that it seems like I'm allowed to say that I have long COVID, but they won't say it out loud.
I'm so sorry to hear that. And it's very unfortunate that you're going through this. And I'm sorry to hear that as well. Now, you said that the vertigo lasted 4 to 5 months. Is there anything that has happened since then?
Oh, yes, that was just kind of the start of things. So I would say it actually probably lasted a good 8 months, but it did get better over time. Um, so it kind of got to the place where I felt like I was 80 or 90% better after maybe 8, 9 months, somewhere in there. But I was still sick. I would say that I had PEM at that time because I could really only do, I had a very specific energy envelope. I could only expend so much energy before getting very tired and having to rest. So I- about 6 months after I quit my VP job, I found another job where I could work part-time for someone. which has been a huge blessing. I told them that I had long COVID, so I was very upfront about it. Um, and they've worked with me, and we've been working together ever since, which has been really, really great. It's hard to find an employer that's going to be understanding a condition like this. It's so new and it's really hard for people to understand because on the surface, we look, fine. Um, so, but that was really my first, I call it my first instance of long COVID. I was reinfected in January of this year, and I would say that's when things got really bad. Um,
Oh,
yeah, so I got reinfected in January, and but in February, out of the blue one day, I just like my whole system just went completely haywire. I started having what felt like a panic attack, but had nothing to do with my thoughts. I wasn't freaking out about anything at all. I was just hanging out at home, totally relaxed, having a great day. And I thought, man, did I accidentally like drink too much caffeine? Because I had gone to lunch with a friend that day and I was kind of chugging these like delicious little green teas that they had at the sushi restaurant. So I thought I overdosed on caffeine or something. Like I couldn't figure out my legs were twitching, I was sweating, my heart was going crazy. I felt this really intense dread and just this like panic, and I was like, what is going on? It was so scary. And kind of like calmed down a little bit after a while. My significant other was there, so I was really like, do I need to go to the emergency room right now? It felt very terrifying. And although it calmed down a little bit, that feeling stuck around for months. And I really felt like I was dying for months. I have never felt anything like that. Mm. There was times where things got very dark, um, you know, during that time because it was it felt like I wanted to needed to crawl out of my skin. It really felt like I was not okay. And at that point, I pursued another doctor that is also a naturopath and owns a integrative medicine clinic in the town that I live in. And he kind of specializes in chronic complex conditions. And so I went to him and he tested me for a bunch of stuff. And we found a few things. My ferritin was super, super high. So that's iron storage. That was probably the one main thing that we really found that was addressable. We found a few other things like low CO2, which means that I was probably chronically hyperventilating from the anxiety. I had low vitamin D, which is not helpful, obviously, for any of this. But the main thing was the ferritin. So he said your body has a ton of oxidative stress because of this high ferritin. We need to get it down. And he said, so the only way I know how to get it down would be to do bloodlettings. So I started doing regular bloodlettings, which is hilarious because it sounds like a 17th century cure. But that's what I did. So I had to go pretty slow. So I do about 150 milliliters each time. And I did that over about 6 months and got my ferritin back down to into the normal range. And then at that point, he wanted me to try some other therapies, which would be ozone therapy and HBOT, hyperbaric oxygen chamber. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself if you have any more questions here. But anyway, is what I call my second instance of long COVID. Totally flipped everything on its head. And actually, the weird thing was I no longer had PEM, and I all of a sudden had to start going for walks and moving my body. and getting all of this nervous, crazy like energy out of my body. So I do not have fatigue. I know a ton of people with long COVID that have, fatigue as one of their main symptoms. But I know, and PEM, but I no longer have that. Mine became dysautonomia and nervous system dysregulation. Here's my cat helping.
I'm surprised mine hasn't been up here yet. I love that you have an animal. I'll
Yes.
tell you that I got really depressed back, it's very beautiful, back in June. And where I live, somebody had caught a cat in a live trap. And they had put that, they had this cat. And I said, well, bring it over and let me see it. And I took her out of the trap and she laid down on my arm and that was
Oh,
it. And she
yeah.
has been the
Oh.
biggest blessing.
Right. Oh gosh, they're so helpful, they're there for you no matter what.
Absolutely. Now, there's a couple things that let me back up. The medical that you're talking about, the physicians that you're seeing, okay, is that something that you're having to pay out of pocket, or is that something that is covered by your insurance? I know you said you
Right.
had some job changes, so I wasn't sure if you had insurance and how all that works for you.
Right. So I do not have insurance through my employer because I work part-time. But I got insurance through the marketplace, and have been paying, the monthly out of pocket for health insurance. And my health insurance does cover naturopathic doctors.
That's awesome. And the reason I asked is, I don't know if I told you, but on Tuesday nights, I also run a Zoom meeting for people with long haul COVID to come on. And it's like a little support group for us. And
Cool.
one of the ladies lives in the States in North Carolina. And basically all of her doctors that she's seeing is out of pocket. And they're telling her that the tests that I get that are covered by my insurance are not covered by hers. So that's a big concern of mine because I don't understand, especially be, be, I'm sorry, because of the type insurance that she has. I don't understand how some of these tests are not run. So that was, or I mean, not covered. So that was the reason why I was asking that. And I thank you for
Gotcha.
answering that. Now,
Mhm.
I can relate to your, I in a way, when um, let me back up a little bit again. I apologize. My brain is working faster than my mouth. So I
No.
can walk short distance fine. I can walk down the wheelchair ramp and get in a vehicle. Anything after that, I start sweating profusely. I feel like I'm going to pass out and it's horrible. It's a horrible, like my hair will be soaked within minutes, like a couple minutes, and my whole head is soaked. It's the weirdest thing. And I actually got long COVID back in January of 21. In July of 21, I was actually in the shower. I had woke up one morning, I had an appointment or something, got up, got right in the shower. And my shower was separate than the tub. I remember getting in the shower. I remember putting shampoo in my hair, went to put in a conditioner, and something went wrong. I started getting fuzzy all over. I felt like I was going to fall. I don't know how I managed, but somehow I got out of the shower on the edge of the tub. And next thing I knew, I woke up on the floor. I had a stroke. So COVID had taken my heart rate from in the 70s down to 50. And at night it was going into the 20s. And because I had got right out of bed and went right in the shower, my body didn't regulate. So now I have a pacemaker because that's what I need to keep my heart. So, I mean, I don't think that has anything to do with the walking and the sweating. It's just after I had COVID in January 2021, I couldn't walk for 6 days. It hurt so bad just to go to the restroom, and it was 8 steps away from my bed. It was not far at all. When I got better, I had a lingering pain in my body. It wasn't hard. It was just my legs hurt the worst, but it was just barely. And then over time, it's just gotten worse. And now for long distance, I have an electric wheelchair to help me with that. And I'm very grateful that you don't have the body pain and the fatigue anymore. That is wonderful. And I want to ask more. There was a couple tests that you said that you had done, and I've heard about the oxygen chamber. You were said you were doing something with your blood. Can you explain it? I'm just curious what that test is exactly.
Okay, so the ferritin test,
Yes.
is that what? Okay, yeah. So ferritin is stored iron, and what happens is sometimes when your body goes through something traumatic, your body will store its iron to try to keep it away from the bacteria or the virus, to keep it away from the bacteria or the virus, because bacteria and virus, or one or the other or both, can use iron and the iron in your body and then replicate and use it for bad bad things. So your body tries to kind of keep that iron away from them, but it can keep storing and keep storing and keep storing, and then all of a sudden it has way too much, and it causes a lot of oxidative stress. So so ferritin is a very common blood test that you can get done. My After my insurance, uh, I believe it was $18 or something. For I've gotten it done quite a few times to monitor it. So it's not an expensive test if you have insurance that will give you either a discount or cover it.
Awesome. And have you done the oxygen therapy, or is that just something you've been thinking about?
Yes, I did 22 sessions of HBOT, and I know it has not helped people, but for me and my version of long COVID, it was very helpful. It definitely calmed my nervous system down, which is, I would say, my main issue is just feeling constant anxiety and having a really hard time calming my system down. If I smell anything weird, if I think anything weird or scary, or if I hear a noise or something, anything can set my system off, and it kind of becomes this cascade reaction that is disproportionate to the event that just occurred. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I've
I feel
had.
like that's getting worse with me. Like I was able to control it before, and now all of a sudden it's so crazy that I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. So I'm so sorry that you've had to deal with that.
Yeah, it's let's see, I've had a lot of symptoms. I mean, I could read you the list of symptoms. I've only brought up a couple, but the list is very symptoms that I've had, which I'm happy to share it if that is that something that you think would help the viewers
Absolutely.
here. Yeah, okay. Let me
And
pull it
and
up
what
again.
I've noticed, and while you're pulling that up, if you don't mind, what I've noticed is a lot of the doctors, and I appreciate this too, is they're saying don't go by what everybody else is doing. Meaning a lot of people are on Reddit or on Facebook and saying, hey, try this or try that. Each person it's affecting so different that
Mhm.
they're even saying if you're trying some stuff and your body's not agreeing with you, that could make it worse. And that's my biggest fear is, and I have so many people saying, hey, you need to try this person. I'm afraid to try anything else. I'm already on enough medicines, and
Yeah.
I don't know, it's scary. But yeah, please, if you don't
Oh,
mind sharing that with us, we would love that.
no, absolutely. I can relate, and I'll just give you this anecdote here. I figured out that magnesium, of all things, makes me crash the hardest. So something that is so helpful to so many people, I cannot tolerate a magnesium supplement. Now, in food, it does not seem to be a problem. I can eat avocados and pumpkin seeds and spinach and all things that are high in magnesium doesn't seem to be a huge issue. But man, if I take even a couple of sips of an electrolyte drink, that will make me crash often for months at a time.
Oh,
So
wow.
I get it. It is a weird thing. You really have to navigate it and be so careful with every new thing that you try because for almost
Absolutely.
everything that someone has tried, it has helped someone and it has hurt someone else. So it is so odd. But anyway, so super long list. I'll try to get through it quickly, but just so that people know it's not just a couple of things. Dysautonomia, obviously, that's pretty general statement, but that is definitely what I'm going through. Uneasy feeling, anxiety, panic that has nothing to do with my thoughts. I have intrusive thoughts. I jump very easily. I cry extremely easily. Uh, Lightheaded. I get tremors, twitches. My teeth chatter 24/7. I have nerve hyperexcitability in my legs after walking, which means my muscles randomly fire and twitch after I walk. Calf muscle tightness, leg muscles involuntarily contract and jump when things are going poorly. Like if I took some magnesium, that is what would happen. My legs would start jumping around by themselves. I have cold hands and feet, shortness of breath, heart pounding and palpitations, eye floaters, snow in my vision, stars. My eyes strain very easily now. Sensitivity to sugar in an extreme way, and any stimulants I cannot tolerate. I have brain fog, bad memory, temperature regulation issues, a white tongue that has nothing to do with having thrush, head pressure, tinnitus, hair loss, noise sensitivity. My smell is still off from multiple infections ago. I get phantom smells. I have random migratory patches of tingling that only happen on my right side for some reason. Kind of feels like goosebumps, but it's not goosebumps. And I typically flare during my hormonal part of my of the month. So just to sum it up really quick, that's pretty much all the
Just
stuff
a
that,
couple, right?
yeah, just a
Yeah.
couple things.
I'm so sorry. I
Yeah.
wish I could take it away from everybody and I could just take that pain away from everybody because it is so life changing, so life altering. Let me back up to your significant other. How have they treated you through all this? Have they been supportive? Have they been more of on the unbelief side, I should say?
hmm Yeah, so I am extremely lucky with my significant other, as well as my family and my boss. They have all, and my friends have really all been extremely supportive. And I don't know if it's just that's kind of the culture of the town that we live in. It's kind of how to really explain the culture of the town, but it's almost kind of like this hippy dippy yuppie health town. So like everywhere you go, you can get gluten-free whatever, you can get healthy meal, you can get like so I think it's a pretty health conscious community. And I think that does have something to do with the fact that I have been taken seriously by doctors and the people in my life, but I know that I'm in the minority there. And can't imagine how insanely frustrating it must be, especially for someone to have a significant other that doesn't believe them or doesn't support them, or family or friends or doctors or all of the above all at once. I really can't imagine. I feel for those people so hard because this is a hard enough thing to deal with. To not have any support is just, I can't imagine.
It can be very lonely, absolutely. I did live by myself, and one of my best friends came and moved in with me to help me to cook and do the things I can't do, sweep the floor, that within 2 seconds you're pouring sweat and you can't breathe, and nothing's wrong
Yeah.
with your lungs, right? I mean, no,
I,
I was told that my lungs aren't absorbing oxygen like they're supposed to and stuff like that, but
Okay,
it shouldn't be affecting me like this.
sure.
And so
Yes.
that's been, I'm very grateful that you have a significant other. And mine has been amazing when he moved in. He's, anything I need, he's there for me, and it's really good because it's not always like that. And we'll hear stories about that too, and how people are treated like they lose their friends. I
Mhm.
used to run a nonprofit, or I still have the nonprofit. I'm not as active right now with it, but I started it in 2013. And when I got sick, I had to, kind of stop doing things for a while. And people shy away from you. It got to where, it was just me and my friend that moved in with me to help.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
even my daughters weren't understanding. And it's okay that they don't understand. I'm grateful that they don't understand because I don't want them to have to go through this. And I think
Yeah.
they're trying, I think
Mhm.
people definitely try. Now, um, Miss Samantha, are you in the United States?
Yes.
Up north, I'm guessing, right? It seems like it.
Yeah. Pacific Northwest. Yeah.
Okay. That's what it seems like. I'm originally from Michigan, so that was I moved to Texas 25 years ago. I won't go into further as far as where I live, but to run away from the heat, I mean the cold, I'm sorry, to run away from the cold. But what I didn't realize is once I got down here, I wouldn't be able to grow a garden or anything because of the clay. So that's been
Mhm.
a challenge. I tried to make a potted garden this year and I wasn't able to do that. But it's fun that you get to be up there and
Mhm.
do all that. I have a kiddo that's up north, um, northeast, and she'll be home tomorrow from college. And she's like, I'm bringing you all these fruits. And I'm like, okay, I'm excited. She's like, they
Yeah.
were going to throw
Nice.
them away. So that was pretty cool. So I'm glad
Oh,
you
okay.
didn't have to deal with anything like that, too. I mean, either.
Mhm.
Now let's fast forward to now. Okay. You are working a part time job. Is it a struggle to concentrate or pay attention to what's going on some days, or are you able to pretty much keep it where it needs to be?
Yeah. Um, it definitely takes more effort than it used to, as particularly when I'm not feeling well. I mean, the dizziness, lightheaded symptom is so obnoxious. It's really hard to focus when you feel like you might pass out. But the only thing I can say is I've had it for so long, and I have been practicing giving myself messages of safety when it happens and saying, we know that this isn't dangerous, we are safe, we aren't going to pass out. And I can, kind of calm myself down a little bit there and put it to the side, particularly when I'm working. I've always had a strong work ethic, so I haven't let it get in the way very much of my job. Like I said, my boss has been very flexible. So I do have a lot of appointments that I go to. And so he always lets me shift my schedule a little bit this way, a little bit that way, so that I can make um, all of my appointments. Because at this moment in time, I am full throttle trying everything. I am throwing money at this because the reality is, um, that I am losing money via opportunity cost by not being able to work full time, you know? Um,
Absolutely.
so even though, of course, I don't want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on this, I am, and I know not everyone has that luxury. So I'm very grateful that, I did have a savings account and stuff from, my previous jobs and stuff. So I can basically, throw money at this and try different things. So like I said, I've tried many different therapies at this point and still trying new ones. I just ordered a vagus nerve stimulation device that goes on your ear today. It's called Sona. It's I have no idea. I'm hoping it works, so I'm not promoting anything. I'm not affiliated or anything, but interested to see if this is something that might work. Apparently, it has some AI and it is adaptable and it reads your body and your heart rate variability and everything that's going on, and it kind of adapts to your body. So, does it work? I don't know. I think it was built by a NASA scientist or something, so I'm hopeful. But yeah, at this
I'm
point, I'm
very
very much,
curious. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
absolutely. Have you, so as you're talking about the vagus nerve, have you heard of the ganglion block? Have you done
yeah,
any research or heard of, have you
yeah.
tried that at all?
I have not. If my symptoms came back as bad as they were in February, I would be interested in doing that for sure. At this point, don't, I'm not going to try it if I can get myself regulated through all of these things that I'm doing. You know, then that'll be great. And ideally, that will that will last and give me these lessons that I can take through life and hopefully prevent this from happening again. Because obviously, maybe not. My biggest fear is getting COVID again because every time I've
Absolutely.
gotten it, except for I maybe got it one time and it didn't do anything the first time in March of 2020. I got it very, very lightly and didn't notice any repercussions. But every other time I've gotten it, it has had repercussions. Loss of kind of smell that has never really, I mean, I can smell things, but they don't smell like they used to. So it's always something when I get COVID.
Absolutely.
So yeah, tonight there was two Christmas parties that I was invited to that, it's like I so wish I could go be there, but unfortunately these days it's not even worth it. It's not worth the risk anymore. So it's pretty sad, but
That was my next question. It was uh, how do you deal with those situations? Are your friends or family understanding when you can't go? Because I was a go-getter too, and I've had to turn down so many invitations, mostly because everybody does stuff around this time of night, and that's when my body's like, "Oh no, we're done. We're done for the day. I can sit here and talk, but anything else, it can be hard sometimes." But a
mm,
lot of people like to, like my family even will call me 15 minutes before an event. Hey, we want you to meet us here in 15 minutes. I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. There is nothing quick in my life anymore. I can't say I can do anything in 15 minutes, you know?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I am doing fairly well at the moment, and so I could. My significant other was kind of complaining about going to this Christmas party, and I was like, I miss the days when I complained about going to parties, and then I would go anyway, and then I would have a ton of fun. I miss those days because now I'm like, I'll trade you for the night. You can have my long COVID, and I'll go to the Christmas parties for us.
Absolutely. So
So,
they never got sick with COVID, or did they ever get it and they just didn't have the lasting effects?
uh, he thinks that he may have had it one time, but it was before he got very, very sick in 2019. So, in like late 2019. So I think it was kind of before it officially came over to the States. So, we don't know, but he has never tested positive for COVID. And in the last 5 years, since the official March 2020 date, he has not had it that he is aware of. So he is, healthy as a horse that I just hope that it stays that way because I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. I wouldn't.
Absolutely not. And I had a kiddo in college, and that college actually sent her home. She was so sick, and that was before COVID too. And I think that was the beginning, I want to say January, February of 2020 when it first. They first started talking about it, but they weren't really talking about it. And the college actually sent her home, and that was pretty crazy. Now looking back, we're very grateful. And I didn't get it then. And after, so I had gotten sick in, I got sick with cancer in April of 2020. And then I got the COVID the first time in October 2020. And then in January of 21 is when I felt like it affected my body. But by that
Mhm.
time, all my kids were home and they were home taking care of me when I got COVID. I think I've had it 5 or 6 times now. I don't even know. I lost count. But it was each time from the hospital. It wasn't from being out in public or anything like that. It was just by chance, the hospital. But
Oh
what was
man.
crazy about it is at one point, I think there was 6 people living in my house because my kids always like to bring home their friends. And I was the only one that was getting sick. None of the kids ever got it, never even had the flu or anything the whole time. And then this year in March, I had COVID the first week of March. Second week, they said I had flu. And the third week, I had pneumonia. So it's really crazy that I never had any of this stuff before.
Mhm.
And it very well could have affected me so bad, of course, I know because of my immune system already being down because of the cancer. But it's really, really crazy to see. Prior to me getting sick, I was a chemical lab technician for 15 years. And I was working shift work. And when I get off, I substitute teach at the school or as a PTO mom. I coached my daughter's soccer for 10 years. So I've always been on the go. And one thing for sure, this has definitely forced me to learn how to relax, to stop and listen to my
Mhm.
body because a lot of people, and I'm sure prior when you're having issues back in February, how many times did you might have heard people say, well, keep on going, you'll feel better. That's something I still hear to this day. Well, if you keep walking, you'll feel better. Well, that's not how this works, unfortunately. I wish I could say I could keep walking, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I used to very much be the person that, if I had an ache or a pain, it was like, well, I better hit the gym. That was how I got rid of it. And it's not necessarily a bad thing for a healthy person, to, lightly work through, some pain. And, because the body is just such an incredible machine at healing itself. But this COVID has really thrown it for a loop. And I think the body's just confused or it confuses the body and it dysregulates some stuff to the point where the body has a hard time really knowing how to go back to baseline. And I'm kind of the mind right now that it's not just going to be one thing that people need, someone needs to do. I mean, sure, some people do heal just with time, and that's incredible. And that is one aspect of it. But at this point, I'm thinking, it's really a combination of doing like understanding, is there trauma that I need to get through? Is that, do I need to go to therapy? Do I need to go to physical therapy? My physical therapist has told me that there's been a significant increase in hypermobility since COVID that he's seen. So, and he believes that I have hypermobility in my neck. So I've been working, on neck strengthening uh, with a physical therapist. I think supplements and meds are certainly an aspect of it. Other therapies, red light, HBOT, ozone, other things that help the body on a cellular level. There's, all this brain retraining, recovery stories, meditation, vagus nerve work. There's all of these things that can help like a little bit. But if you put
Right.
enough of those things onto each other, that's just my theory. I'm not a doctor. That eventually it helps the system kind of, okay, okay, like, because everything's so connected that okay, I revamped my diet. I usually ate pretty healthy, but now, I mean, extremely healthy because all it can do is help, you know. So every day I have, all these things that I do. I do breathing exercises and meditation and journaling and my PT exercises and my curable app exercises and intermittent fasting and walking and like, I mean, it's a full-time job trying to recover. It's a full-time expensive job that you don't get paid for. The money goes the opposite direction. Um, and it's no joke. And I know that there's a lot of people that aren't even in a position because they don't have enough energy to be able to do everything that I've done. And I can't imagine, being in that scenario. It's terrible, but I do think there is hope, It's sad to me when I hear people think that there's not hope because there's people recovering all the time. We've seen many recovery stories. Every time I get COVID, no matter how bad I get, I end up getting better. Like I said, I'm at 80, 90% now again. So yeah, there's a way out. I think it's just very, very complex and it has all these aspects that you're talking about. Is your family supportive? Do you have support? Do you have money? Do you have the things to even try
Right.
to get well? So it is very complex. Yeah.
I don't remember if I asked you this, Miss Samantha, so please forgive me. Did you know anybody else? Do you know anybody else personally? Like, have you met, shook hands with, I don't know, anybody else that has the long haul COVID?
Oh, yes, I do. And not just people that I've met after getting long COVID. I have quite a few friends that I've had for years that are also dealing with long COVID. And these are very competent, successful people that are on the struggle bus with this.
Wow.
Yeah, this is not just, this isn't something that is an excuse for people that want to be lazy. This is something that is hitting people that, like you and I, that were very driven and had tons going on and, had a strong vigor for life. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe we were going a little bit too hard, but maybe not. It's hard to say.
Right.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
do
think
have.
it discriminated, at all. I don't think
Yeah,
it discriminated regardless.
hmm,
Um,
that's fair.
that's the unfortunate part. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of one more thing. Oh, I'm so sorry. In your area, now, in the area where I'm at, they used to have 4 long haul COVID clinics, and since 2021, I was part of one of those. Okay, and about 4 months ago, they closed it, and I didn't know till about 2 months ago. So now in the area where I'm at, there's one long haul COVID clinic with one doctor, and 2 months ago, their next new patient appointment was October 2026. Have do you know in your area, did they have any long haul COVID clinics? And if they did, do they still exist?
I'm not aware of any long haul clinics in my city, um, but in bigger city, the biggest city in my state, there is some long haul clinics. I tried to get into the most prestigious one, and it was basically a joke. My significant other and I called every day, sometimes multiple a day for months, and couldn't even get, an appointment to see a regular doctor that would be the doctor that would refer me into the clinic. So, into the long haul clinic. So, kind of gave up on that one, but I found a different one in that city that's another integrative medicine practice, and they kind of specialize in long haul. It's not just a long haul clinic. They also specialize in fibromyalgia and ME/CFS and these other complex, autoimmune stuff. So, but I think they just added long COVID to the list when that started becoming a big problem. So that one took a couple of months to get into, and I have my first appointment in February for that one. So I'm
Okay.
excited about that.
I'm very excited. And this is totally up to you. And I'm putting this out here, and we're going to put this on the web once I'm done. Um,
Mhm,
is I'd like to talk to you again and just kind of follow your journey with the new stuff that you're trying. And I love
mhm.
the fact deep down, above and beyond, I'm jealous, but I'm so grateful that you don't have the body pain, that you don't have those issues anymore. uh, I can't relate with the ear, unfortunately, or the tendonitis. Unfortunately, I just had an ear infection, but I don't have ringing in my ears. It just, since the ear infection, I feel like I'm underwater, but I think that'll get better within time. I'm very grateful that I don't have that issue.
Yeah.
Um, I will tell you that I started the YouTube channel because I don't know anybody personally, and it was very lonely. So I
Mhm,
started the Zoom meeting first to start talking to people, and I met a wonderful counselor, and she says, "Hey, you ever thought about doing something like this?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "You can do it." So that's why I started it, because it's important for people to know that this is real, because there's people that will even post on my Facebook even and say, "Hey, I know it's real. It's like the flu symptoms and it lasts 3 months." Unfortunately, sometimes it feels like flu symptoms, but it just depends on the day and how we wake up that day, right? But most of the
mhm.
time, it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like flu symptoms. I don't know what this feels like. And to put it in words, I know from your, for me, it's hard to put into words what I'm feeling because they'll say, "What do you mean it feels like you're going to pass out?" I really don't know. I just get this weird, I'm hot, I'm sweating profusely. And if I don't lay down, I don't know what's going to happen, and I hope to never find out other than that stroke. But it's not even the same as the stroke feeling. It's just weird. It's just, and
Yeah.
I agree
Yeah.
that, eating better really made a difference.
Mhm,
Spices mess with me, so we're learning that now because we couldn't figure out why I was throwing up everything, or, so we're adjusting things, trying to figure it out. And it's just, I think if anything, we may not be able to, like, I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to tell anybody to try anything, but it's good to know that at least you're listening to your body and you're trying things.
mhm,
I have all kinds of research everywhere. I've got a list compiling of different symptoms. This is what could cause this symptom, this symptom. I'm not looking at the drugs because every doctor, every post, every medical pharmaceutical has a different drug for everything. I was
mhm,
on about 30 different medications, and I went through them myself and got rid of stuff that they said, "Oh, we're going to try this because we tried it with other people and it worked." And it was just
mhm,
making me tired. I was a walking zombie. So I think
mhm.
it's very important that people really sit and listen to their bodies and know this is what's going on. Sorry, my phone was ringing. And so sometimes we have to figure it out for ourselves. And that's the
Yeah.
most important thing is the doctors may not know everything right now, but we can help ourselves by listening, to our bodies,
Yeah.
trying to figure it out what works the best for us.
Absolutely. Yep. And going incredibly slowly on trying anything new. I mean, if I try a new supplement, am trying a fraction, a tiny little itsy bitsy fraction of the starting dose. I just go extremely slow, and that prevents most crashes, but not all. I overdid it with polyphenols the other day, which I found out the hard way are it can be a vasodilator. and it made me crash. Now, luckily, since I'm in a good place, when I crash, it usually only lasts for about a day or two. Uh, but yeah, I felt terrible, and it was from super high polyphenol olive oil and some like moringa like powder that I added to my yogurt. I mean, just stuff that's like supposed to be really healthy. Not necessarily even a supplement per se, but almost supplement grade stuff, because I'm trying to go really hard on the health kick. But yeah, I just have to always remember to go super, super slow with any new food, any new supplement, any new med. It's all as slow as you possibly can go with
There,
this disease.
there's a doctor in Plano, Texas that I've been following him, and he's where I get a lot of research as far as symptoms. This could be causing this symptom, and he's not going into drugs or whatever. He's just saying this is what could be causing it. And he had come on there, and one of the videos that he did was talking about supplements and how normally, they encourage people to take supplements, but right now they're finding out that it is causing the crashes and stuff. And I
Yeah.
notice like vitamins I have to be careful with too, because some of those even make me sick. So it's
Yeah.
really crazy all the stuff that we thought was so good, isn't being so nice to us.
hmm Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
really weird.
hmm Yeah. And, you know, um, I mean, I know that the community, at least on Reddit, is fairly torn on the use of AI. But I think it is an amazing tool. It's not to be used like a doctor. I have four doctors now, well, in February, I'll have four doctors basically. And I don't do anything without consulting with them, or one of them at least first. So I don't use AI like it's a doctor, but I do use it as a tool to help me brainstorm and to help me understand things. And it does hallucinate and it does get things wrong. But so do people. So do my doctors. Um,
Absolutely.
so nothing's going to be perfect. But one of the biggest things that I have found, I don't know if this would be helpful to anyone that watches this, at least, this long, but I go into ChatGPT or Grok or whichever one you use, and you can create a project within it for free. And within that project, you can create instructions. And in those instructions, you can tell it uh, all of this information. You don't have to tell it your name or your weight or anything too specific, but you can give it all this non-identifying information about your long COVID journey. So I tell it my type of long COVID, my symptoms, all the therapies that I've tried, the supplements that I take and that I want to add in the future. I tell it, what has helped me, what I'm intolerant to, all my normal blood tests and other tests, all my abnormal tests, my daily habits, my exercises, how I sleep. I mean, I tell it everything in this instructions area. And then within that project, I can create a new chat and I can say, I'm thinking about talking to my doctor about adding NAC, which I'm not because I take NAC every day, but this is just an example. And then it'll say, okay, this might be a good idea, for you because of this and this and this symptom, but it might be a bad idea because of these three things. And so if you do try it, just go really slow and start with a really low dose or something. So I have found it to be incredibly helpful to just bounce ideas off of because it can it's getting this information that I would never find otherwise because I don't have the energy to research for 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Right.
So anyway, I am not anti-AI. I've seen people be anti-AI, but I think it's kind of silly because I think it's an incredible tool. if you use it correctly, you just can't believe it, for it's for every little thing that it says. But if you use it in tandem with your doctors, I think it can just be an incredible tool. So I just wanted to say that for anyone that might
That's awesome. Over this past summer with my job, I'm a trainer and auditor, but I was looking for new training techniques or tools, I mean, and Copilot just had come out. So well, I don't know when it came out. I had just learned about Copilot. So I had just learned that, and I didn't know you could do that. So thank you so much, because I'll go in and add a project and start doing it that way, because I've been writing it down as I go and all this stuff. So,
help.
yeah, I've got
Yeah,
notebooks everywhere, and I've got somebody just taught me about OneNote that I didn't know anything about. So I now
yeah.
have a OneNote file started and all
Nice.
this
Yeah.
stuff. And it's so much. It's so much research, so much. But I'm glad to know that we can go on Chat GPT and do that, or Chat GPT, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. The
That's
instructions,
wonderful.
yeah, it blew my mind. I had a friend tell me about the instructions part because I was just talking to it and it would remember certain things and then it would forget certain things. And that's just how it goes. It's a very
Right.
complicated, complex system. But if you just add those instructions inside of a project, that's how you get it to remember everything that you need it to remember about you, and having that context that's so important. Otherwise, it's just kind of flying by the seat of its pants.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Now, Miss Samantha, what would be the biggest advice you have for anybody going through this right now?
Um, oh man, you know, it's that's hard to summarize. Because of course there's all of these things I'm very excited about, there's the apps and the exercises and the therapies and stuff. You know, ultimately I think keeping hope and finding joy in life and finding out why and or maybe thinking deeply on why did this happen and what is going to be the benefit of it. Because I think it was really easy for me to be like, this is ruining my life and this sucks and I'm never going to be the same and I'm damaged goods now. But ultimately, there's parts of me that feel healthier than from before I got long COVID because I'm paying so much attention to my health. I'm seeing a therapist, which I should have done years ago to process trauma. I'm working on my, back and neck, which I should have done years ago. I'm doing all of these things that ultimately I knew I should have done years ago, but I just didn't have any motivation. And now I have all of this newfound motivation to treat my body like a temple. And yeah, when I feel good, I feel great. And the job that I quit, it was time for me to quit that job anyway, you know? Um, so I am happier and feeling healthier in many ways than I was before long COVID. I would say I was kind of on a destructive path. Just between stress and trying to cope with the stress, it just wasn't, it wasn't anything crazy, but it wasn't a healthy long-term thing, solutions.
Correct.
Um, yeah. So, finding the silver lining, I think it's really important and it's hard to see sometimes, but looking at, what is this trying to teach me? What lesson am I learning the hard way here?
That's exactly how I feel too. Because when I first got cancer, I ended up at a big cancer hospital. And it was the craziest thing. COVID had just started, and I was a contractor at the company where I was, and I got laid off because they had to do something because there was just way too many people. I wasn't mad or whatever. But the reason I said that is because I lost my health insurance. So by the time I got to the big fancy cancer hospital, I'm so blessed to be able to go, or I was so blessed to be able to go because they did give me a grant. But what I found out is that people mortgage their homes two and three times to get care. And I was like, maybe this is what I need to do, focus on something like this. And then, you know, then I got sick with all this stuff. And now it's like, okay, I'm tired of being, oh, poor me. I had a conversation with somebody a couple weeks ago, and they're like, you're wearing the wrong badges. This isn't you. You're wearing cancer patient. You're wearing long haul COVID patient. But where are you? That's not you. You're letting that define you. And I really got thinking about that. And I was like, she is absolutely right. I've never done that before. So I
Mhm.
started changing my way of thinking, and I was already talking to my counselor. She had already planted the seed about doing this, but I only had my phone at the time. And I was like, I can't do anything just on a phone. So then I got a tablet and I've got different stuff coming in because I want it to be the best for everybody because it's important for us to know there's other people out here. It's important to know that we're not alone. And I have people from other countries ready to be interviewed and stuff too. And that's what's really cool is we'll get to hear how different countries are handling the situation too. And
Mhm.
it's new for everybody. We can't be upset, because of all of this. All we can do is just try to help each other and be there for each other. And what really made me decide that I was going to do this is when I went on Reddit and I saw a couple. I think the very first day I saw four or five posts where people were ready to commit suicide. And I was like,
Yeah.
no, we can't do that. We've got to figure this out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 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 absolutely. And that's part of the reason why I am all about spreading the word. I tell everyone I have long COVID, and it's not because I need sympathy or want sympathy. I don't need or want any sympathy. I want people to understand that um, this is a real thing, and it's like a pandemic that was caused by the pandemic. It's a new pandemic that we're dealing with right now. And I think that most people just don't look at it like that. But I think it's important. And, I've seen stories of people that used to make fun of people with long COVID and then they got long COVID. And they're like, oh shit, this is not cool. Like, this is real. And so I think it's important to spread the word. I do.
Absolutely. Miss Samantha, I want to continue to talk to you, but I'm going to go ahead and end this and then we'll continue to talk, okay? I
Okay.
do want to thank you for offering to come on and be interviewed. I really, really appreciate it. You're going to be my first one besides for me that's up there because the other one we're still editing. And this one, I don't think we have anything to edit off of it. The other one, I kept having issues with the Zoom. It was just challenging that day. But I'm going to go ahead and end this. And I want to thank you for coming on through the glass eyes. Okay.
Uh, Thank you. Thanks for having me.